Hey everybody, welcome to a new little thing brought to you by CoolKegs Productions. We're calling it Frozen Files. Not something we would generally get into, but there's been some communication from the public. As everyone knows, we do have the email y'all can reach out to us at. That is associated. It's in the description below. And some people were wanting some more, I guess, life pertinent things, to call it that. And so we decided to start a little segment on cold cases. Our first one is getting brought to you from North Carolina. We actually have reached out, found a local contact with a leading theory that we decided we wanted to discuss. So with me today, obviously, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Big Duke 6. We have the crazy raccoon himself, Breezy, and our concerned citizen, who is going to be called Bob for the express interest of his identity. I guess with that being said, how is everyone? And welcome to today's episode of Frozen Files.
I'm doing well.
Thank you for having me.
I'm good.
All right. So I guess to start this off, why doesn't Bob give us the general rundown on the case and how he heard about it?
Well, this has been a big thing around the area for a long time, since the year 2000, and I've been interested since then, but they haven't named any witnesses up until now, and that's what kind of got me back into it. They mentioned some people, and I got to looking into these people and the property, and came up with something that I think is pretty interesting.
Well, and we all know that, since talking to you, I looked into this, and this is really a trending topic for reasons we'll get into. But to clarify, we're not trying to stir up any anguish or anything like that. We're not even saying this is what's going on. There's just some questions that Bob proposed that, we think that might be pertinent. So we just glad to have you on, Bob. And if you don't mind, kind of give us the short rundown of the Asha degree case.
She left her house about 3 o'clock in the morning one night unexpectedly, and there were several witnesses that said they seen her on Highway 18 running in and out of the woods. One tried to stop, and truck driver, I can't remember his name, but anyway, she ran off into the woods, and there was reports of her getting into a large older model green vehicle. And during this previous new investigation that they've brought up concerning these suspects, they took a green older model vehicle from one of his properties. So that got me looking into that property because of that seizure of that vehicle.
Okay. And just for anybody that might not know anything about Asha degree, she was 9 years old when she went missing on February 14th of 2000. That's how long this case has been open. So,
Yep.
So I guess if we're at the starting point of they took a vehicle from the property and the property in general. So what was your biggest question about this entire case so far?
Well, they mentioned in this previous investigation that they believed that she was killed and the body was concealed. I can't say for sure what they mean by that, but I would suspect that she would probably be buried somewhere. And so that what got me looking into these properties as well.
Well, and was there any statements released or anything that you know of, like what kind of search they did or didn't do?
Yeah, they did do the ground penetrating search, but then again, his property has thickets, large wooded areas, to where I don't think they would be able to take that equipment. in there. But maybe they did. I can't say they did. I can't say they didn't. I don't know what they did, but I just have a theory, and I'm here to talk to you about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, without further ado, we can get into dogs and equipment, but what is the actual theory question, I guess, rather, that you have?
Well, looking at these properties, I noticed that the 602 Cherryville Highway property, that through Google Maps, it went all the way back to 2008 on there of imagery of his property. And I got to looking through that imagery, and I noticed that there was an area of his property that he intentionally overgrown. And that made me ask some questions, have some suspicions, because this particular area of his yard was his front yard at one time, and now it's just a thicket of jungle. And then who does that?
Yeah, and
Intentionally overgrows a part of their front yard.
when we originally spoke about this, you kind of walked me through the pictures you're going to be seeing on screen here, and it certainly doesn't even look like it belongs to the property anymore. And you can tell he was still maintaining that property was still maintained, like as far as manicuring and stuff, except for that one spot, which was really odd.
He maintained the rest of the property this whole time, except for that part of the yard. And I also suspected that he intentionally piled things in that area before he overgrew that thicket, because as you'll see in the images, there was a pile of wood in 2019 laying there. And now there was also a truck there, but I can't say he hauled all of that wood off, but maybe he did. Maybe he piled some of it up right there. Previously to that, he had wood panels laying there around this one tree. And when he cut those other two trees down, he left that one tree there. And that's the only tree sticking up out of the thicket now. And that also made me wonder why he left this one tree.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because in the photos, it's young, but why not take it down if it's going to be a nuisance like the others? That is interesting.
Right. Why clear out that? Why, saw down two humongous trees and leave that one little one there in the middle? Like, there's some weird things going on in this area, that is making me scratch my head. I'm like,
Well, I'm going to go ahead and flash up. You actually took a drive by there. And when you can see on the screen now, but when you drove by there, it certainly looks like kind of offset property, like easement property, like county property. It's really what it looks like. It looks like it's trimmed by the city or county or something.
Assume by just seeing it and not knowing that it had been purposely overgrown like that, you would assume it was a neglected little piece of state property or something.
And
but it's not.
Well, and I have that around here. I'm sure Duke has that where he's at. He's closer to you. But my question, is this:
front yard.
When you drove by there, did it look as thick as it appears? Like,
yeah. I mean, yes and no. Like, it looks like maybe in the middle where the tree is, because the tree is like practically in the middle of it, and it doesn't quite look as thick in the middle. I noticed on that one side road right there, he's got some trash cans sitting there. And behind those trash cans is that skinny tree. And I believe it's somewhere along that skinny tree, if not under that skinny tree, where he is trying to conceal something.
Well,
period.
Well, Kegs has some law enforcement experience. He might not be able to answer this, but if, for example, there was biological remains there for, say, 20 years, anywhere, based on, the amount of debris, plus there was a dog house running, and like a dog on a chain for a while, like how sensitive, I guess, really to get to the point, are canine cadaver dogs? Like, is there a time limit to where senses could be dulled? Like, I don't know. Like,
Well, well, I guess that the answer to that question varies by dog breed that is used for that. There are some dogs that are trained as cadaver dogs that don't have as powerful of a nose. Obviously, they're all greater than ours. The most prolific one for cadaver dogs in search and rescue application would be like a bloodhound.
Yeah, that's your hottest nose.
And, yeah, so a bloodhound is, I think they're like 1,000 times stronger than a human, which like I think they have like 300 million scent receptors in their nose. Comparatively, we only have 5 in our noses, so they are extremely sensitive. Their ears act as a scent amplifier, directing the air into their nose. Even the floppiness of their face, it's all biologically there to shove that as much scent into that nose as possible. So if there was biological remains and the scent had soaked it into the surrounding soil after decomposition, there are certain gases and scents that those dogs are trained to identify. And it doesn't it doesn't matter if there's a dog sitting right next to them that's currently still living over a area of remains.
mm-hmm.
That dog will still be able to pick out that scent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as far as a timeline, that's a harder thing to nail down, dependent on like what the makeup of the soil is and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, I forgot to mention earlier that this suspect became a suspect because one of his daughter's hairs and one of his medical patients in his nursing home was found in her book bag about a mile away from the nursing home he owned.
Yeah.
Up in Burke County.
Well, and I just want to throw this out here. So all the people that are going to be hearing this, like, especially from the Reddit community, let us know where we're right and wrong in the comments, and please help us get the story right. Again, we're just doing this as an exercise of thought, but any clarity would be great if we're messing up here. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
And to finish on like cadaver dogs, they actually do use them for unmarked like Native American graves and whatnot, so they can still catch that scent hundreds of years later.
Really?
Okay, but what if it was like double bagged in garbage bags?
Those are still going to break down over a period of time. I mean, it's
hard to say.
You still have scent that gets through plastic because it is still porous. It is still slightly porous. So like a lot of times in training, say like drug dogs and whatnot, they'll put like a piece of marijuana, for an example, something that has a strong scent, in a bag and put it in someone's pocket. And that dog has to catch that very, very slight scent that still makes it out of the bag.
I see.
So it's not like those bags aren't 100% guarantee, and especially over time of soil erosion, because that soil still minutely moves over the span of 20 years. So especially once the body itself decomposes inside the bag, that's going to cause an outward pressure on the bag because of the gases being released in the decomposition time. And also, once that body goes away and it turns into skeletal remains, you didn't know you're going to have a void that has a possibility to, again, dependent on soil type, to cave in on itself. So a rock could puncture the bag or whatever and release a higher volume of scent into the surrounding soil.
Okay, well, how about if he put a wood pile over top of this area?
I don't see that causing any kind of an issue necessarily, because that's just another scent that's in the mix. It's not going to cover anything up as far as the dog goes.
Yeah, but like he could have put it at such a radius to where the dog couldn't get close enough. I mean, I wouldn't think the dog would climb up on the wood pile and start, smelling into the ground or anything like that. Like maybe, you get what I'm saying? Like he expanded the radius of the sniff.
I guess it would depend on what the topography actually looks like. I mean, they were using, I think, gold retrievers, Malinois, and German shepherds in the rubble and whatnot of the World Trade Centers. So those dogs will absolutely climb and tunnel to find the scent that they're after.
It's also important how thorough the actual officer in control of the dog was too.
Yeah, in what areas they actually searched. So let me be clear. So if they were going there to exercise that warrant, for example, Bob, and they knew directly that they were headed to the garage, and there was already, as far as I've read, there was biological material inside the car in a few different places. And if the officer's bias got in the way, if their bias got in the way and the dog hit on that early, while it's going crazy, maybe, again, this is just a simple issue.
Or maybe the dog wasn't even took to that area at all.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Maybe the issue was the dog was still smelling something over to the left, but they've already went there for their own bias. Maybe there was a human control issue.
Like I said, he's got 2 trash cans sitting right there at that one side of the driveway. Like, maybe the dog started to head over that way and they just assumed it was a trash can.
It's possible, if they even got that close.
I really don't think they searched that area because that, like I was telling you when I showed you the images, that the area is so inconspicuous. Like it was like right there in the front yard. Nobody expects anything to be in the front yard, but there's clear evidence on Google Maps that this guy, who is a suspect, has deliberately, created this mass area of foliage in his yard.
Well,
while maintaining the rest.
When you drove by there, didn't you say it didn't look like there'd been people inside there? That thicket? Or is it, could you tell?
It looks like there's a little area where you can go inside of it, but I could only see so much.
Yeah, it's thick, and you can see it on the screen again, guys.
But it's thick around the edges. Like, that was intentionally done that way by that guy, and it's just weird to me. Like, why would you create a thicket in your front yard like that unless you're trying to hide something?
Well, and to be clear, we're going to do our best to get some pictures of his other properties, but it's all well manicured for the most part, so it is an oddity in my mind. It's definitely out of pattern, judging on his other properties.
Now, I got a question. That's kind of off the property deal, but I was looking into it, and they said there was witness that saw the girl being dragged into a green, older, early 70s green vehicle.
Yeah.
And like in 2016, they were looking for maybe a Mark IV or a Thunderbird, which is a very distinct looking vehicle. Now, they got confiscated a AMC Rambler from that particular property or whatever, which is green. Now, it really doesn't look like a Mark IV Lincoln or a Ford Thunderbird of the early 1970s, in my opinion. It's hard to, but it is green. Then at night, at 3 in the morning, it could be mistaken. But I was just wondering about that being drug into. I was always wondering what do they mean by drug? Was she standing drug into it, or was she like drug into it?
Like unconscious.
I don't think they ever specified what they meant by drug into it. That I would assume that would mean abducted, but it could be more sinister than that as well. Like, because there was front end damage to that Rambler. That guy or whoever was driving the Rambler supposedly belonged to his daughter. If they accidentally run over or something and then threw her in the car, then
it could look like that to a passerby or something.
Yeah, it could look like that. Yeah, if they're dragging her off the road already injured.
Well, there's obviously a chain of evidence here, or at least, what would you call that? Chain of circumstantial, I guess, evidence. So what really gets to me is where they found the backpack and how it was found, because it was buried, right? Double bagged, something like that.
Yeah, it was I read it was like 30 miles from the actual.
Yes, but
last thing.
that's right, but it's only a mile from the arrest home that this suspect owns.
Yeah, that was the other thing. It was
Kind of out of
and that was
place,
like
right?
direct line, like a direct line, straight line from like.
Yeah, it's a direct line from this suspect's house to his rest home, and Asha's right after he left his house, about 3 miles. So there's no doubt that, I mean, law enforcement got their eye on this guy, but they claim that the body's buried on that property or somewhere being concealed. And they're just gonna have to do a better search if they want to find her, I guess, because he's already 80 years old and he ain't gonna live much longer.
And from what I've seen, they've only considered the husband and wife suspects, and not the children.
From the way they describe it, they believe that the daughter whose car it was hit her, and then put her in the car or something, and like went home, and then their parents concealed the body. From what I understand. But they're not holding the minor accountable because they say that she would have had to have adult assistance to conceal the body.
Right.
So that's one other suspect. But they still got DNA from her. They seized journals from them, from her and her two sisters, from when they was around that age. So hopefully they'll come up with some new information after this search and seizure.
Well, and go ahead, brother.
let me move to another room.
No, you're good.
Going back to that, trying to find the body. That's hard to do even when they know where it's at.
Yeah. Well,
I know that for a fact because it's being done around here.
Well, what's crazy? What's really crazy is how the backpack was found. How lucky is it that backpack was even found? From what I understand. Go ahead, buddy.
From what I understand is that there was either building some kind of new road near there. I think it was for a house that was guy was having built that was near the rest home, and when they was cutting the road through to build that house, they came across it.
Yeah. How lucky that they picked that path.
Do we know if that area where the backpack was found was searched anymore? Was there a radius set up?
We can only imagine.
Brought in then?
They never did say, but you would think so. I mean, but who knows? I mean, they never did make that public. I said nothing on this case has been made public until now. 24 years later, we finally got suspects being named. And that's what's brought so much attention to this case, especially locally, but because people want answers, and then we finally got faces with names, and we're digging around, and we're going to make sure Asha gets her justice.
Absolutely, and that's what I was going to ask you. What's the effect been locally? Considering that there hasn't been any breaks, and then all of a sudden there is one.
People are devastated, man. Her father wore himself to death, man, literally.
Yeah, well, so I seen there'll be a picture of Asha's parents, and I can only imagine. And again, we're not trying to stir anything up. Again, we're hoping for closure, and just I
would encourage the daughter to come forward if she knows something.
Absolutely.
Give her immunity because of her age. I understand she loves her family, her mother and father, and they're old. But justice is important. If she don't do the right thing, she'll have to live with that, and.
And think about poor Asha. Not only Asha and her life that was taken too early, but think about her parents. And I would absolutely encourage anybody to come forward with any information.
They shouldn't have concealed it.
Well, we're going to have a number running across the bottom of the screen. If you have any tips, this is the number to the sheriff's office. You're encouraged to please come forward. So,
And of course, we want to stress that that's it, if you have real information,
Absolutely.
please contact the sheriff's department. Don't make this like the case in the Anthony trial where they were getting some bullshit calls and hate calls and all this other stuff. Please let the police work, do their jobs. It is that part to me is of the utmost importance. Let these men and women do their jobs that they are very dedicated to, and only call them if you have like legitimate information.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something bigger than, a YouTube channel, you know what I mean? All right, but I guess basically I think this is a good spot until we meet again, and we can go over a little bit more in detail. But
Yeah, we definitely broke down the base.
absolutely.
You can cut this and cut stuff out.
Yeah.
All right, I want to just listen to what popped up in my head. All right, from everything I know. All right, the girl was having to go take somebody from the restaurant, whatever, somewhere, and left out early. All right.
That's right, but hold on, let me pause you a minute right there. Keep in mind, it was Valentine's Day. It was Monday morning, Valentine's Day. You have to ask yourself if a 16-year-old girl is going to be out at 3:30 in the morning on Valentine's Monday morning.
Right. Well, that's what said that she was used to transport people back and forth. Maybe, just listen to this. She went, maybe hit the little girl, drug her into the car. That's what they seen, drug into it. Now, there was another suspect's DNA or whatever found where she goes all the way to pick this person up. And it's that person, the other suspect guy that's dead.
Yeah.
Picked him up. He told her, he helped her, or he bagged the backpack, whatever, and disposed of it right then and had her drive, him and her drive back to the residence. He went back to the residence with the girl, told her to take Tim and the victim back to the residence, and that's where the whole burial deal went. I mean, from everything I see, that's what I see in my head. Something.
Okay, let me break this down, right? You think the girl accidentally hit her, put her in the car, went ahead and went on, picked up.
Freaking out. What's going on there?
What happened?
Yeah.
Bagged her up probably and backpack and stuff. This shit. Then they came back to Shelby.
Yeah.
To
her parents'
property.
Yeah.
And then that's when they buried all of them.
That's a new way of looking at it.
That could be a possibility.
And some people were saying that the damage on the car doesn't match up with a small person. But see, the thing, I ran some numbers. Just to throw the numbers out there. I used rough numbers. Like, I have children that are approximately her age and build, so I use their weights. I use the speed of 50 miles an hour because a lot of people do tend to go about 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. Which, if I remember correctly, the speed limit of that road in that area was 45, so I used a generalized number, 50 miles an hour, made for easier math. The kinetic energy of that impact is 8,357 foot-pounds, which results in an impact foot-poundage of 63,683.
Well, we have an image of the Rambler.
Yeah.
And also, I'd like to mention that where Asha was last seen at was only 3 miles away from the property. So wouldn't it make sense if she hit her, if she'd put it in the car and turn around and go back home?
You would think so. She may have done that, and then the backpack was found later in the car and disposed of. That could have happened.
And the guy that died, he also lived in 2 separate facilities owned by the Deadmans. I know that much.
And he also died under suspicious circumstances.
Yeah, I was about to say
Somebody said the man was threatening him like 3 days before he was found dead, and he's supposed to have been dead like 3 days. So there you go.
So, but it's equivalent to that impact also is equivalent to 637 Gs.
Well, and I'll flash the Rambler picture back up here
So, but that is more than enough
to do that to that car.
impact to cause severe injury or death.
Oh yeah.
Well, and here's a big thing too. Something rolled down the side of the car to take off the mirror.
Well, our guest, our concerned citizen Bob, has run out of time with us for today, and I think we are getting to about that time ourselves. So, you know, again, if you have any real information on this case, please do contact the local sheriff department. If not, then I guess stay tuned for. We will make a reveal video or a updated video once more details are released. Keeping up with this case, and if you let us know in the comments below if you think Big Duke's ulterior theory that he came up with from looking at everything fits in with the proposed timeline. So with that being said, I guess we'll see everyone next time on Frozen Files. Don't forget to like, sub, and hit that noti bell.